Let's talk about how Tinubu and the APC share our oil money every year. What I'm about to expose, for those who may not already know, because some people do know, will change how you perceive Tinubu forever. Those of you who see Tinubu as some kind of master strategist will understand why he is nothing near a master strategist, but very, very close to, if not already, an evil strategist. You will understand why you as a Nigerian, are paying for petrol per liter a price that is higher than 10 states in the United States of America. Why you are paying for petrol that is more expensive than war-torn Libya or Egypt or Algeria or even Angola are paying. Why you have the price of petrol in Nigeria to be the same price as the price of petrol in Niger. Very funny. Meanwhile, Niger does not have crude oil, but they have a working refinery. The question is, as how now? As how? Niger does not have crude oil, but they have a working refinery. The reason is why Tinubu and the APC need to come out clean to apologize to Nigerians and change their ways so that this needless punishment of the Nigerian citizens with high price of petrol will stop. I will expose to you the truth behind why we make or we produce 611 million barrels of crude oil yearly. Something that should give us $70 billion. But we barely get 3 to 4 billion. The truth about it is what you will get in this video. They tell you that, oh, subsidy had to be removed. Subsidy gone because we could no longer afford it. And because subsidy is gone, we must pay more for fuel, for petrol. They tell you that. Is it true or are they all lies? This video is a must watch for you if you don't understand how the Nigerian oil and gas system works. They like it when Nigerians are ignorant about certain things, particularly the oil and gas sector. They love it. So they can tell us lies and run circles around us, telling us, oh, we have to endure, when the truth is, we should be enjoying. Let us start. Let me not talk too much. In 2025, Nigeria extracted over 600 million liters of crude oil. Let's say 600. In previous years, it was 550. Sometimes it's 650. But let's take an average. 600 million barrels of crude oil. If you take your calculator and you punch 600 million multiplied by 100, what do you get? 600 million multiplied by 100 gives you 60 billion US dollars. 60 billion US dollars. Think about that for a minute. 60 billion US dollars. What that will do for us. I can't even begin to. It's over 200 trillion naira. 60 billion US dollars. Okay. Now, how much of that 600 million barrels of crude oil per year gets into the Federation account for Nigeria to spend? I won't give you the answer straight away. We will walk to the answer together. We will show workings. And I hope that in the process, you will understand exactly how the Nigerian oil and gas sector works. First of all, that 600 million barrels of crude oil, 611 in 2015 and 2025, whether you like it or not, whether the international oil companies like it or not, whether it is through JV or production sharing contracts that they used to produce the crude oil, they must pay royalties. What are royalties? Owó ilẹ̀, owó ọmọ nílẹ̀, It doesn't matter whether you are making a profit as an oil company or whether you are making a loss. So far as you extract 1 barrel of crude oil from the ground, you must pay royalty to the government. That one first is free money. Think of it like ladder money when you buy yam from my 12 market. And after paying for the yam, they will tell you, oh, ladder money is so much. You have to pay it. The people who are collecting the ladder money don't need to do anything. It's their money. Think of it as ladder money when you go and buy cow from the cow market. After you pay for the cow, they will tell you have to pay ladder money. That's how royalties are. So, once the international oil companies or even local oil companies extract the crude oil from the ground, and they have measured the amount of crude oil they produced, then they must pay ladder money. It's a percentage. They must pay royalties. Now, for onshore production, it is more than for offshore. So, onshore can be as high as 15%, and then for offshore, it can be as low as 5%. So, let's just take the middle number, 10%. So, that's 60 billion US dollars. That's 611 million barrels of crude oil. Take 10% away from it. That's about 60 million barrels of crude oil. Take it out. That's royalty. Cheap money. That will give you about how much? 6 billion US dollars. Free money first. It has nothing to do with taxes, oh. It has nothing to do with levies. We have not even started talking about all those ones. Just royalty. Say they commot the crude oil for ground. Nigeria earns 60 billion first. As they earn that 60 billion from crude oil, they are also earning maybe about another 10 billion or so from natural gas. We should have 70 billion US dollars coming from royalties alone. But do we get that money? We'll talk about it later. But let's just keep that royalty money somewhere. After they remove that 60 million barrels of crude oil as royalty, then they will now talk about cost of production. Whether the production method is production sharing contract or whether it is JV, doesn't matter. It costs money to extract the crude oil from the ground. Here, there is a lot of corruption. They inflate the prices such that the cost of production can go as high as $40 per barrel. In more transparent environment, the cost of production of crude oil can be as low as $10 per barrel. But let's give it to them. $40 per barrel is about 50% of the cost of production of crude oil. Because if you are producing at $40 and you're selling at $80, that's about 50%. So the remaining 611 million barrels minus 60 million barrels for royalties, right? What is left? 610 minus 600, that gives you 550 million barrels. Let's be extravagant and say, oh, okay, 50% is cost of production. You take that one away. That's the cost. Whether JV cash calls or whether production sharing contrast cost oil. So what is left? If you divide 550, it give you 275. Yes. 275 million barrels of crude oil yearly, right? They will now come and do their math and say, okay, out of this one, let us share it based on our sharing formula. See how they collect our oil. They will now take a share, 60-40. The one that is supposed to be for NNPC. They will come and now say, oh, before you go, Mr. NNPC, there are some crude oil, 272,000 barrels per day for Project Gazelle, Project this, Project Menene, about 5 or 6 of them, which is actually forward sales agreement. The loan they borrowed and backed it with crude oil. So that one takes about 272,000 barrels of crude oil per day. If you multiply it by 10, that's 2.7 million barrels. If you multiply it by 3, that's about 8 million barrels of crude oil every month. Multiply it by 12, that's about another 70 million barrels of crude oil. They will take it for a loan that you and I did not see what the loan was used for. So what is left? If you take away another 80 million barrels of crude oil for forward sales agreement, you are left with 275, you are left with about 200 million barrels of crude oil. If you now, that 200 million barrels of crude oil, you will expect that this is supposed to be Nigeria's profit. Oh. This, if you multiply by $100, that should give you $20 billion. Oh. Because 200 million barrels of crude oil, if you multiply it by 10, that is what? That's 2 billion. If you multiply by another 10, that is what? That's 20 billion. $20 billion that is supposed to come. NNPC will now collect that money and do their mago-mago. They will not tell you, oh, they are doing this, they are doing that. Put black hole money somewhere. At the end of the day, they will tell you that, oh, after all their expenses, the money now came back to $6 billion. So 14 billion will disappear first within NNPC. Then they will now remit that one to Federation account for the whole year and tell you that, oh, in 2025, Nigeria earned $6 billion US when they are supposed to earn over 70 billion US dollars. They have destroyed the money, they have shared the money. Now, in all of this, you will say, oh, agreement is agreement. No. Corruption is what is going on here. At every state, the 6 billion we're supposed to get from royalties alone is what they'll declare. The 6 billion that is supposed to even be left from the 20 billion that is left with NNPC, that one we don't even see. They put it a black hole. When you look at all of this, you begin to see the truth in the 210 trillion that they say is missing. But they say it's not missing. They say, oh, it's receivables, it is accounting. Nalayo, the truth is those monies, they are being looted before they even enter the system. And you know the sad thing, Tinubu knows about it. As Minister of Petroleum, these things should not happen without his knowledge. So, what are the chances that Tinubu does not know? The chances are 0.001. So that tends to 0, right? So it is 0. It means Tinubu knows. But he keeps quiet. Instead, he chooses to increase the price of petrol. Do you know that if this $70 billion entered Nigeria's hand, hit the Federation account and was shared, there will be no need to increase the price of petrol beyond 300 naira per litre, even at the new exchange rate. In fact, that exchange rate is another matter for another day. We'll deal with them separately. So I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to show you the corruption that Tinubu is covering in the NNPC, in Nigeria's oil and gas. They share our money that we are supposed to use to make our refineries work, money that we're supposed to use to make Nigerians live better. We share it, we allow them to be looted, and then we punish Nigerians by making them pay more fuel. Now, instead of discussing this, should we be discussing which political party Peter Obi belongs? Is it important? Of what importance is whether or not Peter Obi is a political prostitute? Whether or not Peter Obi does not want trouble? Of what importance is that to this corruption that is going on in the NNPC? This corruption that is going on that is making you and I pay so expensively for fuel. Don't let any politician use you the way they have successfully used many influencers to begin to discuss rubbish. Peter Obi is a political prostitute. Peter Obi is a coward. Peter Obi does not have heart. Why did Peter Obi not destroy Nigeria? Why did he not lead the youth to protest so that they will arrest him and kill some youth needlessly? They are not discussing this very sensible matter of how Tinubu and the APC and its cronies are looting Nigeria's crude oil money dry. We have not talked about electricity. We have not talked about the forex market. We have not talked about minerals, the uranium, the gold that they are mining illegally. We have not talked about all those. And when you look at the problem of Nigeria, you find out that at the heart of it, na corruption. So instead of Nigerians to discuss and say, okay, so since insecurity is linked to corruption, poor road network linked to corruption, bad or poor healthcare linked to corruption, poor road infrastructure, poor educational system, insecurity, poverty, unemployment, all of these things are linked to corruption. Who is that leader that can help to solve this problem of corruption? Then you look at somebody like Peter Obi and you look at his track record and say, okay, this is the person. Instead of us to talk and think like this, we are allowing some propagandists, some so-called influencers to tell us that, oh, Peter Obi is a political prostitute and he's jumping from one political party. So if Peter Obi remains in one political party, will that reduce the price of petrol? Don't let these influencers and these supporters of APC fool you, fellow Nigerians. They are looting our crude oil money. And what we need is somebody like Peter Obi to go into that NNPC and stop the corruption. When they do that, you won't need to be talking about subsidy removal or no removal, because nothing was removed in the first place. All na scam. Let me know whether we should be discussing such things like this, or we should be discussing whether Peter Obi is wearing red shirt or white shirt.